Hello, how are you? Thank you so much for taking the time to learn about career alternatives from nurses and beyond the bedside. The career alternatives I'm going to mention here are a little different from what I've seen others do. I've looked at a few videos myself, and I'm sharing things that I've tried, that I've done. And I've noticed that some of the other videos are sort of repetitive. Everyone's talking about the case management, everyone talks about home health. And those are fine and good. I just wanted to put a few other things on your radar, if that's okay, and I also wanted to congratulate you for looking for something different. There are a lot of nurses who are stuck in their role at the bedside and they're not looking to go anywhere else. And I don't think that's fair for them or other people. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But we're here because we have an urgent problem. Healthcare is changing. Local to me, there are hospitals that are closing. There's hospital units that are restructuring. I know nurses are being laid off. I know that nurses who are being forced to do work that they don't feel equipped to do for whatever reason. And I don't think that's fair. And what I want to invite you to do is to take a look at things that are real, that have really worked for me and other people. So you can start to Google these different career paths and start to do your own research. Here, I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is not a place to go into depth as to how I found each position that I found. I'm going to tell you about the position and I invite you to search the industry on your own, if that's okay. However, at the end, I will have an invitation for us to continue this work together if you feel you need that sort of support. So let's get into it. Let's be honest, 12-hour shifts are never just 12-hour shifts. There's the getting ready part, there's the commute part, there is the emotional recovery after the shift. And traditional bedside nursing is great for people who have the physical stamina, who have the abundant emotional resources. And what I really want is that for nurses who need something less intense, to find what it is that they need. And maybe you can find it in what I've tried, and I'll share that with you shortly. And I also want nurses who want the bedside nursing. They want the high acuity. They love the intense environment. They love the adrenaline. I want those nurses to be able to find an open position. So I'm not suggesting or asking that all nurses evacuate bedside nursing. I just want nurses who don't love it as much there to find something that they do enjoy more, so that other nurses who do want the bedside nursing role, I want them to be able to find what they need. That's really what I want for everybody, to find what it is that they need. So let's get right into it. The career alternatives that I have tried that I invite you to look at, and I'm going to come back to this and go over a couple things. But I just want you to give you what you came here for because I respect your time. CNA, I was a CNA with a purpose. Because of what I experienced as a CNA, I made decisions as far as how I saw my career going. My career trajectory changed, and I went into outpatient. All these positions that will see are all in the outpatient world, ambulatory setting. So I started in endoscopy. From there, I took a role in clinical research. From there was opportunity to learn about infusion nursing. Went into ENT, dealt with or worked with kids who had trachs. From there, I went into rheumatology. I'm a clinical program coordinator in rheumatology now. Alongside that, I do event medicine, and I also have non-nursing side hustles. This is a long story how I end up doing the side hustles, but the long and the short of it is that people will pay you for making recommendations on products. You might see these as nursing influencers on social media. You might see these people, in your everyday life, people who say that, what, they've used this, they got this sort of result or improvement. Did you want to take a look? You do. Everyone's happy. That's a real thing. And it has actually helped me pay off my student loan debt. So, related to that last part, I do have an invitation for us to continue our work together, but I want to get right into you thinking about you deserving something less stressful. Why not you? Why not now? So I want you to believe that you deserve to have work that you find fun. This is why I stayed in a healthy job relationship. You might have different reasons, but a lot of times our reasons for staying in a healthy relationships, whether it's with a person or with a job, is similar. We tend to stay in healthy relationships because we doubt whether we're enough. We think we deserve the mistreatment, and then when we are being mistreated for a long time, we can start to think that this is normal. I'm here to tell you it's not, and I invite you, and I'm clapping my hands that you're looking for something else. If you want to go back and look at the career alternatives I've just mentioned, please do so. But I also was wondering, do I have what it takes to go into these other roles? Financial safety, just worried about that. Well, I let myself down again. So I do invite you before you move on. Um, I do want you to know that if you don't heal after leaving a tough relationship, things can repeat. And I feel like this is true for a job or for a relationship with a person. So after each of the job transitions that you saw, I took time off um, to heal and recover. And I invite you to do the same thing. Sometimes when we go from one job to the next, we just go from one job to the next. We just line up our start date so we don't make it a paycheck. And while some people need to do that, if at all possible, if you can make it so that you can have some sort of break to heal and recover and reset a little, I invite you to do that. So realizing that you need to leave nursing or that traditional bedside nursing is killing you, that's a scary thing. I mean, I've been there and change is scary. So, whether you're new in nursing or not, I found that you can leverage your current experience in new ways so that you can start enjoying work again. So, a little bit about me. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I've been in nursing for over 10 years. I showed you the variety of roles that I had, and now I have my own business. So, I come from a person who has tried a few things that were not traditional. Again, I never was at the bedside as a registered nurse. Um, I was never at the bedside in med surge as a registered nurse. I've only been in non-traditional roles. So I can tell you that you do not need to have a ton of experience before getting into a non-traditional role. I was a new grad when I went into the endoscopy unit. All right. I didn't have vast amounts of experience before I went into the clinical research role. In fact, I did not have my bachelor's at the time. So I want you to start imagining that you are an expert in your subject matter just because you've been in healthcare for so long, and that you do deserve to be well compensated. And I'm saying this here because as you start to search for remote work, and we're going to talk about how to look for that with some real life examples, um, I want you to think about this because if you have self doubt, it shows negatively and it shows negatively on resumes and interviews. So having self doubt can also impact what you can find. And for more reading, if you want to spend time reading about what else is out there, here's a book list. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but if that's what you want, there's a book called A 4 Hour Work Week. I invite all nurses to just know what all is possible out there. I didn't know that virtual assistants could make as an example, I didn't know virtual assistants talking about, that would write about health topics for a newsletter or that would write about health topics for a blog. I didn't know that they could make advanced practice nurse salary. I didn't know that virtual assistants could make six-figure salaries. And if you have questions about that, Google six-figure virtual assistants and read virtual assistant. Yeah, six-figure virtual assistant and read. Okay. But I just want you to know what all is out there for you. I don't want anyone to feel stuck in doing one thing. So, um, getting into career alternatives, I invite you to be strategic, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Also, consider personal branding, market analysis, look at where the jobs are, and again, follow where the payment is going. Um, when I finished nursing school, in 2006, I noticed that there was a lot happening in the outpatient world with home health. I saw that a lot of jobs are moving to the outpatient world. So that's part of why I decided, you know what, I want to start my nursing career in the outpatient world. And let me keep going. So CNA. So I was a CNA. I hated feeling drained. And because of that, I had to face for myself whether or not I wanted to quit nursing and do something else, or if I wanted to stay a nurse. I did not have the emotional stamina or physical stamina at that time to continue on into med surg. So for me, I chose to do something else. So I invite yourself to give yourself permission, your grace, that if you at this point decide that you need to go and do something else, no matter how long you've been in the game, you should honor yourself and do that. Um, that's what I did. All right. So as a CNA, I started to build my own personal brand. You're hired for your first job based on your personal brand. I took experiences from my time as a CNA and I applied it to my new role. So in your role, how this works for you is that, look over at what you've done so far, pull out and extract what can be transferable. Like say you're looking at a remote work job or say you're looking at a clinic job, pull out and try to see what could translate well. So when I decided to start to look for work, how I looked for work, uh, and how I suggest you look for it if this is what you need. I looked for jobs that were Monday through Friday, no nights, no holidays. So that's what I looked for. And in looking for that, I had no specialized knowledge about endoscopy, but there was an endoscopy job that came up on my radar. I read through the job description and I was able to bring back things from this position that would apply to this next position. And I invite you to do the same thing. I'm going to show you how to look for some jobs. We're going to look for some jobs. And as you read through the job descriptions, do the same thing. Okay. At this job at the same time, I faced a good amount of bullying. All right. They weren't used to a new grad just walking in there. So there I was, a new grad. I did not, quote, pay my dues. I just walked right into, well, I didn't walk right in, but I walked into endoscopy in this pit of nurses who paid their, quote, dues. And here I was. So nurse bullying, that got pretty intense. So I dropped my hours down. Again, self-care, I invite you, like if you're in a role where you're thinking, you know what, you just got to leave, it's toxic, and if you don't have anything lined up, see if you can drop your hours down. All right, see if you can just drop your hours down to PRN. In fact, they might be able to make a position where you are PRN if your facility doesn't have PRN work. But there's other considerations. I can't advise you on that. So I dropped my hours down to PRN. And then at the same time, I was looking to see what else was available based on my future interests. So again, at this point, I was thinking, you know what, maybe research is where I need to be. So inside my facility, there was a clinical research job. And I got it and I did not have my bachelor's yet. So what does this mean for you? Look at clinical research jobs online, local to you. Like, are you near a university? Are you near a university that has a hospital? Take a look at the job descriptions, read the job descriptions and see, is there any way that you can start to get the experience that will qualify you to apply? While at that job, there was an opportunity to be a part to gain the skill of infusion nursing. I was used to dropping lines and IVs from when I was a CNA. In endoscopy, we had to, start IVs and such a lot. Um, yeah, we had to do that a lot. But I learned more about the specialty that is infusion nursing in my new job. So for career alternatives, I invite you to Google endoscopy nursing. Please Google clinical research nursing. Please Google infusion nursing. And, with Indeed, you can search infusion nursing and put in your zip code and just read the job descriptions. I have learned so much from just reading job descriptions. So these are some career alternatives I want to be on your radar: endoscopy, clinical research, infusion nursing. From there, life changed again, and I wanted to go back, or I felt there was a need to go back to school. And I didn't want to work full time and go back to school, so I looked for part time work. So, in searching for part time work that would support my lifestyle, I ended up in pediatrics. And so that's what I invite you to do. While the field and the specialty is important, um, you might decide that the schedule is more important than what you'll actually be doing, if that makes sense. I did not dream of being an infusion nurse. I didn't dream of being a rheumatology nurse, but it was the schedule that made me take a look at that. So, my suggestion is to make sure that your body is supported. And when your body is supported, when you're in a role where you can sleep at night, um, that could be the best thing for you versus maybe being, I don't know, I hope this makes sense, but you might need to look at the schedule before the actual type of nursing that you're going to be doing, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So I went into ear nose throat nursing. That was with pediatrics. And then this role became full time and I needed part time because of my school schedule. And so I looked for other jobs within my same facility, and I saw one in rheumatology nursing. And that's where I am now. I've been there for about 7 years, and so far so good. Alongside that, I do event medicine. So what does this mean for you? Again, for career alternatives, look up ear nose. I think they call it otolaryngology nursing. Look up otolaryngology nursing and read about the association and what they do. Read about the Endoscopy Nurse Association and what they do. Read about Infusion Nursing Association and what they do as far as career alternatives that you're exploring. Event medicine. Um, I live near Washington, D.C. However, I know that events over a certain amount of people, no matter where you live, they need to have nurses to support the event, so that if something goes wrong at the event, local EMS is not being taxed. So local to you, there might be event planners, large scale event planners, or conference planners. I was working an event and I met nurses there who like comic books, right? The event that I was supporting was Comic Con. And Comic Con was, it wasn't Comic Con, it was something like Comic Con, but it was a large event for comic book lovers. And that comic book conference, they had their own nurses that traveled around the nation and would support their conference goers. They needed a little extra support, so we came in and supported them, but that's a thing, okay? Another thing that, again, I mentioned is my side hustles. You can empower people with information. That's a valuable thing. Right now, I love recommending products that have helped me to other people. I'm not diagnosing. I'm not giving anyone medical advice. I'm just telling people my story is how my wellness was supported. And if they think that theirs could be supported as well, there's information they can read and personally make their own decision. That's been fun for me, and this is how we were able to generate an extra $500 to $1,000 a month and pay off my student loans. So I want to actually make this a practical thing, and this is how I would look for remote work now. So first, I would look on LinkedIn, Facebook, Indeed, Rock Health, and AngelList. So we're going to talk about, so with LinkedIn, having your profile where it can be found or where it is visually appealing is good. What does visually appealing mean? It can mean a lot of things for different people. What I recommend you do is, just put in your ideal search term, whether it's nurse, healthcare, writer, and see what profiles rise to the top. What rise to the top can be best practice. So that's that. Facebook, there are professional nursing groups. When I was in one Facebook group, I saw the opportunity to do test item writing, another non-traditional nursing role. But we're actually going to go to Indeed and AngelList. I'm going to leave Rock Health off. Feel free to look at it if you want, but Rock Health hasn't really had anything interesting lately, but it might. You might want to look it up if you want. So with Angel, these are companies, startup companies that love to speak with nurses. So I have found work here too, and what they really value, your expertise. They don't really care how long you've been a nurse. They just like the fact that you have healthcare insight and knowledge that they don't have. So usually they're like a tech firm. And again, you have like the people who are involved with technology. They have that subject matter expertise, but they're open to hearing from somebody who's a nurse. So, or has healthcare insight. So what I searched is contract, healthcare, and remote. And I invite you to look through these. Again, click on the job descriptions. Like this catches my eye. Right now it's January 2018. I don't know if it will still be here when you're watching this, but this catches my eye. Specialized industry advisor, healthcare. I invite you to click on these ones that look interesting and just reading through it. Again, that's how I have been able to make certain decisions I've made, is because I just read the job descriptions of what an infusion nurse does. And I read the job description about what a rheumatology nurse does. So just add these into your search. Add these to your search, okay? Also, nurse sales. Don't worry about the word sales. You'll see what I mean. And then remote. Your location will always be remote, unless you want to find work that's local to you, of course. But a lot of nurses, we can stand to have work we can do from home. All right, so find jobs. And then just take a look and read through the job descriptions, okay? Home-based, outreach supervisor. Seems interesting. I'd read this. I'd also read the reviews, all right? And, continue looking down. And I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're busy. Medical device rep remote. I'd click on this and read through the reviews as well. See, this is not a sales position. The RN will act as a monitoring equipment to train staff, right? So the RN will actually be training staff. And you can find a lot of positions like this too, where you're training people how to use, whether it's the EHR, you're training people how to use the equipment, you're training people how to use the new wound care kit. There's lots of work out there for you. And these while it says remote, sometimes these trainings happen virtually, sort of like what we're doing now. And sometimes they will find locations local to you where you can, come on and train the staff on the things. I hope this was helpful. There's a lot more to it, and I don't want this to be like 2 hours long, so I'm going to stop here if that's okay. So I am working on a course. I will say that I am working on a course where people who are looking for income ideas and who are considering leaving nursing, they're like really stressed. They're really looking for something else, and they're considering leaving the investment they made in nursing altogether. Before you leave that investment, if it's just an additional $500 to $1,000 a month that you need in a less stressful environment, if that's all that you need, um, I have a course that's going to cost $47 as of today, January 2019, where I talk about more income options that you might want to try before leaving the profession, or maybe you might want to try these income ideas before going for a higher degree or considering a certification or becoming a legal nurse consultant or before becoming a real estate agent or before becoming an insurance agent. If you're considering other things, um, I invite you to consider checking this course out because you might say, you know what, if I can earn an extra XYZ per month, maybe I don't need to go into real estate right now or insurance agent right now or get the legal nurse consultant right now. If I can just earn an extra XYZ a month. Um, so that course would be $47. But some people, of course, they want to go into the advanced degree. They want to get advanced training, not just for the money. They don't care about the money. And that's fine. I understand that. But the thing is with advanced degrees is that you have student loan debt that you have to pay off somehow. So even though advanced nurse practitioners, some people say, they want to earn extra money or being an advanced practitioner is a way to do that. There are virtual assistants who make the same amount of money as advanced practice nurses. So obviously, people who want to be advanced practice nurses or want to be legal nurse consultants, they're not doing it for the money, and that's awesome. I'm just saying this is more so for people who do just need the extra breathing room, the financial breathing room. So if that's you, I do have a course. So let's keep in touch. I hope something there was helpful. I hope it was practical. I hope it was something that you'll take a look at in Google and search and report back. Let me know what you find. Let me know what you found interesting. And I also have a blog called The Business of Nursing, where I feature nurses who have their own business. So if that's something that's interesting to you, definitely let's keep in touch. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.